Hey, Bo, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. I'm excited to have you guys in studio. I appreciate you coming down from Wyoming.
Yep. It was a bit of a drive, a lot of windshield time, but yeah, we had fun and had a couple client meetings on the way down. So yeah, we made the best of it.
Well, and that's kind of part of it too, though, because you're able to get content and
Mhm.
just kind of be involved in the process of things and getting to see the field and getting different perspective.
Mhm. Yeah, it's there's something about flying versus driving. Like when, we rolled down, you get all your stuff, you're on someone else's time. So when you
Hmm.
drive, you can stop and pee every hour or 45 minutes sometimes and
Right.
just kind of make your way down and see stuff that you're not able to see from the air. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't mind the drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. If I have the option to drive over flying, I'll take it because you are on your own time that way. There's such a different experience when you're driving compared to just constantly trying to like meet those requirements
Yep.
of getting to the airport, of going through security and waiting. So there's a convenience to it, but there's a lot of richness you get from actually getting to be on the road.
Yeah, 100%. And you get a little time to think and have good conversations if you got people, that you're rolling with. So yeah, it's a lot of
Absolutely.
fun.
And I know we've talked about it before, but it also kind of helps those creative juices stay flowing.
Oh yeah, yep. I noticed when uh, I commuted for a long time, for about a year and a half, every week for 6 hours each way. And I actually really liked it because you just catch up on. Sometimes it would just be silence for 5 hours just because you're trying to stew through so much stuff or
Right.
catch up on phone calls. And then there is that time that you're just. And my mind kind of works if I'm moving, then I can kind of start developing things. So
Hmm.
that movement with driving, it really helps out, just kind of kicking around ideas and working through
Yeah,
stuff.
I agree because if you're at home and you're stagnant, like you can kind of just chew on thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in that motion, if you're driving and you've got that long road ahead of you, it seems like you can kind of sort through things and just get that perspective and kind of place your thoughts differently.
Yep, 100%. And there's some distractions, but since you're driving, you probably shouldn't be on your phone. So
Yeah.
there's kind of a little bit more of a focus that you can kind of, hone in on your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing marketing, specifically oil field marketing, probably for the past I'd say 3 years, but
Hmm.
almost 2 years now, like with my podcast. And I've learned so much about the nuances in marketing, especially when it comes to digital and social media. But with having such a long history in the oil field, I also know like what the culture is like, what the industry is like, and so I've been able to merge those worlds together.
Hmm.
Is that similar to kind of like your journey and how you got into marketing?
Yeah. I started blue collar. I mean, right out of high school. I went to college ish. Didn't really know I had going on or what I wanted to do. So I got into stonemasonry, did that for a couple years, and then it was kind of a crazy journey of going in and out of blue collar into kind of marketing and all that stuff. And went down to a film school and got a bachelor's in film and video, and then kind of messed around a little bit afterwards and worked on music tours. But then I would come back in the summer and I would go work on screw compressors and then go back out on tour, then come back in and be like a pumper in the oil field. And I worked on like a drilling rig for 2 months maybe, and just kind of kept defaulting to that stuff. And I when I worked on music tours, I brought the blue collar kind of attitude, like coming in and you're here to work and that's the first thing. When I There was a few other of the crew members that I worked with, it was a little bit opposite. It was like party first, chicks, then work.
Right.
So I kind of, I obviously partied and all that stuff, but I was pretty smart about being stupid. Like I came in and in a couple of years, I don't know what it was, but my boss came to me out there and he's like, I got to go on to a different tour. Do you think that you can run the crew? And I was like, everyone else has been here longer than me. Like, I don't know, man. And he's like, no, I think you can do it. So I was like, cool. So yeah, clicked over, and that was a pretty cool moment for me. Just because it was like kind of chaotic, and the first day I kind of just clicked in where it was like, oh, here's how the operation, here's how I would do it better, here's how we can organize it. And, just they were long days. They were 16, 18-hour days sometimes in the heat. You're running and gunning the whole time. Got a crew of about 9 guys, and these were all party dudes, and we were all really good friends too. You'd create a pretty good bond throughout that process when you sleep on a bus with 11 other people, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just working together and living together. But being able to kind of navigate the friendship thing, but also keep the ball rolling, and like it was heavy logistics, and it was all day, the whole time. So you're kind of, your body's beat up, but also your mind is just pretty drained at the end. But I kind of liked it. Like I thrived in that atmosphere, and kind of putting together logistics and stuff. I remember like when we would do loadout at the end of the day, there were times where everyone was just a little loose, a little too loose, and it would be like 2 hours for the loadout, and we're like, yeah, man. And then finally, once we put some systems in place and got some checklists made and like the trailer pack in, we got it down to like 27 minutes, and I was like, oh,
Okay.
that's pretty cool.
That was
And
efficient.
yeah, and I was a bit of a hard ass, I think, on tour, but at the same time, like the dudes respected me because I worked really freaking hard, and I got up before everyone else. I went to bed later than everyone else, and just and I think that that's what you got to do kind of as a leader out there, is you have to show and get respect by your work ethic, and just getting after it. And the couple of guys, we'd have a new guy come in, and be like, "Oh man, Beau's never in the booth. He's never." And I heard my one of my, like my right hand man, Buck. He was like, "I guarantee you, Beau is out working harder than everyone else in this booth." So I was like, "Oh, it's pretty cool, man."
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, that was a good time. And that was just a piece of kind of like the marketing journey, because that was for a company called Rockstar Energy Drink. They put on these big music tours in the summer, and we worked for Rockstar. So like the brand activation. So we were, making sure the Rockstar was the brand out there that was sponsoring the tour, and all that. And then yeah, there was several other different facets of marketing that I've kind of went into. So kind of like all different aspects of probably about 16, 17 years of marketing in some sort of fashion. So then yeah, they're always in the back of my mind. I was like, man, the blue collar thing is cool. It's hard, and I respected it because I did it. And just seeing, what the highlights are of athletes and famous people and all this stuff, and they get the limelight, like, oh, they're the people moving the world and everything, is like, that's actually not the case, because the people that you don't see ever, that are out on the drilling rig, or laying concrete or pouring concrete or whatever, those are the actual people that are building. And I wanted to figure out a way how to showcase them and highlight them and make them look like the cool dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where we're at now, just with everything. And it's been kind of a crazy journey, and a lot of different things happening and pivoting and all that. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. And so I can kind of see where like it kind of just kept feeding each other back and forth. Like you said, you would step out of the oil field to go on tour and then come back to it. Was there ever in your mindset like that you were defaulting back? Like, did you know that eventually like you wanted to aspire to do more than working in the field, or did you think that long term like you would stay working in the field and do marketing secondary? Because some like marketing can be a very difficult career path to go down because it's abstract and you're
Yes.
creating a lot of it.
Subjective.
It's so subjective whether it's good, whether it's lasting, and the way the evolution of media in general, between social media, AI, and just the way the world perceives content and consumes content. And so I think it can be challenging to pinpoint that as your area of expertise, but I can see the growth and the evolution of how you went back to your roots and put things together, and you were able to sustain, and you've built and you've worked alongside a couple of companies to get them to where they are.
Yeah, yeah. So after I got done touring, that was a bit of a transition. My wife and my stepdaughter, we moved to Denver, and I I was like, I gotta stop touring. This is because I would be gone for 3 months at a time.
Mm.
And when we moved from Gillette to Denver, my wife got a job at Denver Health, or Rose Medical, and she never like lived outside of Gillette, and it's a small town, and her family was there, so we moved, and it was myself, her, and Isabel, and 3 days after we moved into a brand new apartment in a brand new city with her brand new job, I left for 3 months. So
Mm.
she was like,
Not.
oh, okay, this is
That's
so.
not it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she was like, that was a little bit of a tough year and a tough transition. But after that year, like, man, I gotta quit going off the road. So when I got done touring, I was kind of all over the place because you're used to just being run and gun all day out with your buddies working, and you're waking up in a different city every day. So I actually started getting into CrossFit, and then I got with a couple of buddies, and they had a gym. So then I transitioned over to coaching CrossFit, and then I became their first full time coach. And I was doing maintenance and sales and marketing and stuff like that. And I hadn't touched a camera or anything like that in 10 years. So I went to film school, got the degree, and then I kind of jacked around a little bit, but learned a lot. But there was a lot of partying and all that stuff. Got a little off track. But once I got into the gym, and I was like, we were having this competition, and I was like, oh man, I got an iPhone. There's a pretty decent camera on that. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll shoot a couple things. So I shot a couple things, went back. I was like, oh, I think I got iMovie still on my computer. Let me throw some stuff in. I got through about 2 videos, and it kind of clicked with me. Oh, I miss this. What am I doing? Like, I just kind of looked at my situation, and then once I started putting out a bunch of content for the gym, I had a few different members that were like, hey, sir, you're doing the videos. Do you mind doing something for my company? I was like, I mean, sure. So it's like, I'll pay you $100. I was like, really? Awesome. Like $100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just for free. I was like, man, this would be great. So did that and actually started growing that a little bit on the side. I was full time at the gym, growing this on the side, and we just had our daughter. So I had a newborn, doing all this stuff, and then yeah, started just kind of churning. And this was everything was bootstrapped. Like I would sell stuff that we had on Facebook to go buy a new operating system for my computer so I could edit more. And then it's like, okay, do a couple more things, sell some stuff, go do a job, make a few $100, and then it's like, okay, now I can get a camera. And then it kind of started snowballing. And finally, I was making more on the side than I was at the gym, and I was like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now's the time. So I started a video agent, left the gym full time, started a video agency there in Denver, and grew that. We worked with all sorts of different clients, and we got after like a few years. I had it for about 6 years, and it was like year 4 or 5, and we ended up getting an Emmy award and 11 Telly awards and
Wow.
all this kind of, which that wasn't the intention going out.
Sure.
I didn't even know that that was a thing or how people got those things and all that. So it was kind of a cool deal,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a little bit of credibility and all that. But what I noticed was the projects that we're doing that were more kind of like blue collar ish focused, those are my favorite projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh yeah, man, we need to highlight these people more. Like I'm not a, we're not going to do stuff for like a software as a service or a jewelry store or anything like that. Those were the things that kind of stuck out. Um, and during that process, I actually got a text message from my friend Matt Walker, which is Walker Inspection.
Mm-hmm.
We'd been buddies since junior high, and I hadn't talked to him in many years. And he sends me a text. It was like, "Hey, dude, I'm building a pumpkin patch in Gillette, Wyoming. Do you want to do some videotape advertising?" And I was like, Matt, what the heck is going on? So we jumped on a call, and it was like right back. I mean, we probably talked for 2 or 3 hours, and it was fun and funny. And he kind of told me what he had going on with Walker Inspection and this new company he's doing. And I had no idea that it's like, yeah, I got about 80 employees. We got, 7, 8 locations all over the US, and, been doing this stuff for a bit. And it like blew my mind. And, So we ended up getting something together. We cruised down to Gillette, which, I was like, there's really nothing for me to do here in Gillette. Like it's kind of outdated. They're behind the times and everything. And came in for the first project, and we put together something really cool for his company called Equality State Farms. And it was like a 4-part series. And during that time, Matt just kept kind of poking me. He's like, man, I, not to speak for him, but I think he was like kind of a little surprised that this was a little more professional than he was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so during that time when we were shooting, he's like, dude, why don't you come in and do the stuff in Gillette? I was like, man, there's not a market here. Like people aren't going to pay. Like these are pretty decent sized budget deals, and but he got into my head, and I started really chewing on it. We started putting out some of the stuff. All of a sudden, businesses from Gillette started calling, and I was like, maybe there is something here. So Matt was really the person to get me to Gillette and to make me get that transition, or at least get my head going and going in that direction. Well, during that time, there was a company called Western Welding Academy, and I had been in touch with the owner, and he was like, "Hey, we got a welding competition coming up. This is in 2020, so we got it worked out." I brought in another guy, came in and shot some photos. He shot the video, and that was their first welding comp. And yeah, so ever we came in, got that. I think it impressed the owner Tyler, and we just stayed in touch for the next couple of years. And he's like, "Oh, maybe you should come over to Western." And I was like, I don't know, man. I got stuff going on in Denver, and then we found out we were having twin girls. So we had 3 kids at the time, a 1-year-old son, or almost one, and found out we're having twins. So I was like, oh, and we had no family in Gillette or in Denver. So our families were in Gillette. So we're like, okay, we gotta figure out a way to get back there. And yeah, a few days later, after we found out, um, I got a call from Tyler, and he's like, "Hey, I know you're kind of out, but I'm looking for someone pretty much just like you with your skill set. So, do you want to come over, or do you know of anyone?" And I was like, "Let me think about that." And then after we got off the call, like this could be the sign, right? Like this could be my chance to get over there, and the kind of made an offer that I couldn't refuse. So we we put a plan together, and I was like, man, I got twins on the way. My wife needs to stop working because it would cost 70 grand for 4 small children in childcare at the time. And so we put a plan together, and we didn't want to pull out my oldest, which was going into her senior year in high school. And uh, so we figured it out where I would commute every weekend from Gillette to Denver, which is about 6 hours each way, and do that for a year and a half. Work during the week, go home on the weekends, and then kind of keep that rolling. And it worked out. I mean, we had pretty good wins with Western, and social media was a heavy focus on that. And I don't think that any other like trade schools were doing that at the time. So we came in with a lot of energy, and in 2021, I started in January 2022, and then I left there in November of 2024. So pretty recently. 2021, they had 190 starts at the school, and then I came in, and this is ego boost, but I came in, built a team, and in 2022 we jumped up from 190 to 470, and then the next year was like 650. And a lot of this was driven by social media. I mean, we had in the first 2 years we had 1.2 billion views across all these different platforms, and millions of followers, and all that. And if you I really got to see the power of it when it's like, oh, we're just out here at the school, we're shooting videos with our cell phones, some with the big cameras and editing, and all of a sudden there's people showing up, moving from Hawaii and Alaska and Kansas and Texas and to this little small town in Gillette, Wyoming. It's like, whoa, this is
Wow.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and learned a ton, worked really hard, and long days and everything, but really got a I say in 3 years there I got 10 years of marketing experience. So yeah, it was we were hot to trot and getting things rolling, and social media was a big driver of that. obviously there's a lot of other things that go in, and website design and running a few ads here and there and events and all that. But yeah, that was a really cool experience. And when I was kind of like, I want a bit of a transition now. I want to do something different. And Matt and I, we just been staying in touch. He'd kind of like been a mentor of mine for a little bit, and we would stay in touch here and there. And then I I called him and I was like, "Hey man, what you got going on over at Walker?" Because I knew he was successful with Walker Inspection. They've been in business since 2010, 8 locations, 80 people. Like it's a thing, but he hasn't really marketed. And on the digital side, like the front facing on the digital side for Walker, it to me it seemed like it was a little behind, like website, and they didn't really have social or anything. So I saw that as a really cool project to see the transformation. So we kind of started talking. He's like, "Oh man, let's make something happen." So I came over and redesigned stuff, rebuilt the website, went out to the rig, shot a bunch of photos, shot a bunch of videos, started like built out their social media platforms, and it was I love the transformation, like I said, because you can take something that's already built, has seen success, but then what can we do with a digital, front face? Because they're in locations all over the U.S., so a lot of people need to see. Oh, I can just go to their website and see. Oh man, this is a legit company.
Hmm.
So my one of my favorite parts was, you get some blue collar folk. They think that marketing is for sissies and it's kind of stupid and all that. And watching the transformation of specifically Matt's dad, Paul, you know, little bit of a gruff, hardened blue collar man, like a true badass. So watching him. After we started releasing some stuff, and I hear him say, "Hey Matt, I showed your video to a couple of my buddies, and had a couple buddies tell me that you guys are doing good stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Paul's kind of making the transition a little bit,
Sure.
and then all of a sudden he comes in, "Bo, I got this video idea for you."
Oh,
I was
wow.
like,
That's
it's like
awesome.
yes, okay. So that's yeah, that's a really cool. Yeah, I just love the transformation from, and also it's a cool thing for like employees, like building culture and everything,
Hmm.
because if they a lot of people, especially out on the rigs, none of their family, no friends like know what they're doing or get to see them,
Right.
out in it, just being bad to the bone. So going out to the rig and highlighting them with like real high res photos and
Hmm.
video and everything, they they get pretty pumped up about that. And I had one guy, he's like, "Man, my mom, she was so pumped about those and she's so proud of me." I was like, "Yes,
That's
dude. That
awesome.
yeah, that brings some joy to me, I would say." And also, the owners of the company or people that work there, they probably never seen themselves in that light, and they can be proud of what they do.
Hmm.
And the coolest thing about marketing, both kind of selfishly and for a company, is, "Hey, what do you guys do? Watch this. It's on their
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
It's right there. Or let me
Hmm.
send you a link."
Sure.
That's really powerful and that's really cool, and it's just so attainable now. Now with technology and all the different platforms, and yeah, it's just but it is complex. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It's social media specific. It does sound silly, but it is not just take a picture, put it on Facebook thing.
Right.
It's a whole spectrum of things, and there's logistics that go on behind it, and there's also the creative. Like not a lot of folks are just have like creativity in their DNA. So if you could bring that with a correct strategy and then try and test for 3, 4, 5 months, see what's working, and then redirect and kind of go from there. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, and because that's kind of the perception that I have of it as far as what you've done with Walker. Because I had seen content from Western Welding Academy when I first started my podcast and got on social media, because I hadn't been on social media in years. I didn't really have a use for it. I wasn't trying to do anything with it, and as social media platforms have evolved, you can kind of get off the bus at
hmm
certain points where you're like, okay, this is too much, or this is too far. You don't have the content to share. So when I started my podcast and I knew that I wanted to be in for the oil field culture, before it was just a show or what I was doing. It was really a tool to be able to highlight and showcase what we do in the oil field from the experiences that I've had. And then the marketing, like you said, there's a lot of great companies out there, but the way they present themselves online can be outdated or non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
because oil field is largely built on word of mouth. And so you don't waste your time on social media. You're not trying to, get likes or engagement because you don't see the value in it. You see the value of doing the job that's in front of you and having those real relationships, and that's the way it's always been done. And that is important too. But so to be able to take a company like Walker Inspection that had been already established like that had that strong root, being able to showcase and bring it to life. That's what I had seen so much of the power of how Walker's grown so quickly. The presence online, the company's always been there,
Mm-hmm.
and same thing with Western. It's like you can look back and see where people weren't showcasing the trade schools, and now it's cool to go to a trade school, and
Mm-hmm.
in the way that you can amplify the message and the opportunity, and so people are getting to see what they can be a part of. And it's all about the way you present it. And I completely agree with you. It's not just about posting content or being present. It's the quality, it's the strategy behind it, it's knowing what works on what platform. And it's always trial and error. And it can be taxing because it's a tank that doesn't stay full. You're
Right.
constantly
It
having,
runs 24/7.
and it
Three.
runs
Yeah.
24/7. You can run completely out, and sometimes I think it's good to take a break or revamp or rebrand or wherever you are on the journey. But when I look through Walker Inspection, I don't just learn about blowout prevention, although very educational. I know quite a bit about it now, but I've seen people from the company, the individuals, their perspective on working there, what the culture is like, what
Mm-hmm.
their position entails, and how happy they are in what they do. And then mixed in with some inspiring motivational quotes and these subtle nods to blue collar, and it's always on brand. The
Mm-hmm.
color schemes and the quality and the placement. So someone that does marketing, I see all of that also. So it's for me, it's like as I continue to move through with my podcast, with marketing, and the just the evolution of social media, it's like I'm always wanting to look at not necessarily what's next, but what's powerful,
Mm-hmm.
who's making an impact. And because that's kind of, there's a duality there, because there's maybe some people that are great at developing the image, but the substance isn't there.
Right.
And so when the two merge together, that's when you have something epic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that there's there's kind of like a whole spectrum when it comes to marketing, and strategy is always first. If you don't have a strategy, it's like having an open map and oh, where do we want to go? Who knows? I
Right.
have no idea. Okay, cool. Are we moving on anything? Are we just driving down the block? Okay, cool. This is fun.
Sure.
So we always say, diagnose before you prescribe. So recently, this is the last couple of months, we started a marketing company called Kut Thru Media, and what we do is like these little workshops where it's a 2 to 3 hour session, and we go through kind of like the funnel. So target mark, like where are these people, what are they like, what do they dress like, what is the messaging we're going to reach them, and then what are the marketing channels that we're going to use to reach these people. And actually and I might mess this up, but the best description of marketing, like analogy that I've heard, was if a circus is coming to town, right? So okay, look around the town. What's the main street that people are going to see this off? That's market research, right? And then the next step is stamping a sign in the ground and putting circus 5:30 at the fairgrounds. That is advertising. And then if you put that same sign on the back of an elephant and walk it through town, that's promotion. And if that elephant walks through the mayor's garden, right, that's publicity. If you get the mayor to laugh about it, that's public relations. And you do all this stuff, and then everyone comes to the circus, and they're selling popcorn, and they're coming in, and they're buying a bunch of stuff. That's sales. And if you plan the whole thing out, that's marketing.
Mm.
Like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh,
So
I love that.
yeah, it is a full spectrum thing. And like you were saying about the different, types of content, that's one thing that we try to focus on when it comes to like social media, is finding these different pillars, like, okay, educational stuff, entertainment, informational stuff, culture building, and then depending on what the client's goals are, the needs are, then you kind of break it up into, okay, we need to be educational. That's 50% of our content. Okay, entertainment is 10%, this.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you're creating content, you know that, okay, we need two pieces of educational this week to fit the deal. And then you can run that for 3 months, make sure everything is on brand,
Mm-hmm.
like the same kind of color schemes and the same type of vibe and all that. Run it for 3 months. What's working? What's not working? Okay, how do we do different? Tracking analytics and all that. Even like what we noticed was every platform is a little bit different, it has different audiences, but we kind of took off on TikTok a little bit, and that platform, and also Facebook too, we're getting a ton of people that are like, how do I come work for Walker Inspection? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to come. That looks like a cool place to work, because you're able to get the whole spectrum of, here's what the people are like, here's what the job is like, that type of stuff, the days are like, and everything. So if you can kind of showcase that, it's even more powerful than a website. So
Yeah.
if and even if someone is thinking about acquiring someone, they could just go to the social media and be like, "Oh, I have a pretty good idea." Obviously, for the facing stuff, they need to look at financials and all that. But that's the first thing that's gonna kind of get their attention. And
Yeah.
and to go back to like the whole strategy and making it congruent, you even go, hey, email signatures. We put a picture on the email signature. There's a card that has your information on it, but also is the exact same graphic that it's on your business card. So when
Mm-hmm.
you go on site, you show a business card, you follow up with an email. It's the
Yeah.
brand recognition right
Mm-hmm.
away, because it's the same thing. So those type of things, branding up all your documents that you're sending to clients and making sure all the trucks look the same, and it's all one cohesive thing, where if someone sees you, they understand who you are. And like branding, there it branding is a little, it's not different, it's just part of the marketing thing. In my definition, I guess you could say, branding is more what people say about you when you're not there. So branding is more of a feeling and like the word out. So it's like, oh yeah, Walker Inspection, man, those guys are always on time. They work super hard. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're just they're just everywhere. Great people. Well, that's you building brand, right? Because you do all this front facing marketing stuff and the strategy, but what are other people saying about you when you're not there? That's kind of the branding aspect of it.
Yeah, well, and I get that, and I like how you explained it with the full spectrum, because
Yeah.
it can get confusing. Like, well, what's advertising, what's marketing? And I've gone back and forth, because like I mean, I've kind of just made my own thing, and it's grown and evolved over time, and I offer different services to different clients, and it depends on where they are. It's like, okay, if no one knows who you are, but you're already established as a company, let's build up the brand
Mm-hmm.
and do a marketing campaign to introduce you. But one thing that I've learned from so many different people, because I've worked with a lot of businesses, primarily in the Permian Basin, but really expanded to industry wide, not just West Texas, because a lot of people have different locations in their company. So that's also important to make sure you're highlighting the right region, or if there's a certain region that hasn't been, I mean, because we've all got our neglected regions, like nobody's ever talking about North Dakota or Wyoming in a lot of ways. It's a lot of it is, primarily focused in the Permian Basin. But when you drive out there, you'll see billboards or wrapped trucks or wrapped equipment, and so it's a statement,
Mm-hmm.
especially in oil field, for your brand to be recognized. You want people to see your logo when you're sponsoring at a golf tournament, when you're at a clay shoot, you're on the banner. And so I had taken a little bit of that play onto LinkedIn, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why my newsletter has the banner with the logos, and that there's a little bit, it's kind of like what you're saying with the email signature that matches the business card.
Mm-hmm.
I had this goal where I wanted to be as digital and remote as possible to build up the oil field in that space,
Mm-hmm.
that realm that doesn't actually exist, like creating the content in that relatively dry market when it comes to a platform like LinkedIn. Although there's a lot of great content on there, and I see people that do a great job representing their brands or their personal brands, because then you also have the personal branding that goes along with the business branding. But so for me, with Power of the Permian as a podcast that's recognizable, it's almost like an endorsement. So it's a network to where you're recognized in a lane and not just in the matrix, because everything can also get lost if you don't stay on top of your own branding and marketing. You, again, it's like that tank, it runs 24/7. You shoot a great promo video for your company culture, but then you don't do anything else for 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of that, a wasted investment, because it doesn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell everybody that I work with, I love working with established brands because it's so easy to promote them. It's
Yes.
like, oh, that's an, like, I have to choose what I'm sharing, or what I say about them. I know their company so well now because they're always here we are in the field. Here we are helping another valued customer. So it's kind of like what you're saying about the trade school. It's like people can actually see it. They can look at Walker Inspection and get a very, very good idea of what a day in the life would be like. So when you're building your brand or you're growing your brand, it really depends on how much effort that you're putting into it. So it's valuable to work with an outside media or marketing company when you need that support or desire that support, especially if you run lean and you have a small team and you don't have someone designated for that, or you want that professional touch. And again, like with what I'm doing, it's very unique. So it's a great way to showcase, like coming on the podcast and being able to talk about the history of your company, your journey, whatever it may be. And but my encouragement at all is always, now build off of this.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will, but and some won't. And so it's like it'll only last so long, because it's, even though it's a podcast episode and it doesn't go away, and I have episodes that are continuing to get watched that we recorded a year ago, but if you're not marketing around it or doing any of the the funnel, then I mean it's just going to be that standalone episode. And but again, like with the website, somebody goes to your website, it obviously needs to be not outdated,
Yeah.
but and you can do a lot with a website. Like
Yep.
I mean Walker Inspection definitely has a great website, and I've seen that, but it's not enough. It's never enough to just do one of the of that spectrum. It's like you really need to focus on all of it, or like what's important to you, like what's going to help you grow and stand out. So that strategy, I think it can be customizable, but it also needs to be consistent no matter what it is.
100%. Yep. Consistent, and especially on social, consistency is top of the spectrum. Obviously you have to have the creative to get behind it and everything, but consistently posting that, also in platform too. The platforms like to see people that are putting
Mm-hmm.
stuff on, so they're gonna probably the algorithm is gonna serve you to a few more
Yes.
people
Mm-hmm.
if they see that you're serious about it and you are doing it, versus like, oh, we posted once this week, it was a picture at an event.
Right.
And that's, I do see that was a cool thing that I noticed. Hey, here's where myself and my team can come in and really try to ramp up and update oil and gas, construction, heavy industrial. Those are the two or the three markets that we work with when it comes to marketing, because they're really far behind. It seems like outdated. They're doing awesome stuff and they're doing big business, but their marketing is just really far behind. And also, it's another way to showcase those boots on the ground folks that are actually making stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, on a movie set or anything. Like, this is real work, and it's hard, and people are tired every day. They're
Right.
beat up, their boots are wet, and they still get up because they have to feed their families. Maybe they grew up in a way that's the only option. Yeah, so that was a big driver in getting into those industries. And I don't know, like, we're still trying to like change the narrative that marketing is super powerful and very necessary nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Especially oil gas, like everyone. And I think the perception is, oh yeah, we market, we printed some stuff on hats and we sponsored an event. Like, dude, you gotta get with the times a little bit. And you don't, you know, you can't expect a blue collar company to know how to market.
Right.
That's just not, I wouldn't know how to go in and, move a rig or something like
Right.
that. Like, we could do this, we'll highlight and we'll be candid, just showcasing you guys. We're not using models, nothing's super clean and pristine. It's like, we want to showcase what you guys do in a real atmosphere on job,
Mm-hmm.
and just make sure people kind of see that and gain the trust. If you just
Right.
have super polished stuff all the time and there's models and actors in your content and everything, that is not authentic, and
Not at
people
all.
smell that from a mile away. So
Oh, for sure. And I've met all walks of life since I started Power of the Permian, and it's awesome because you can feel when someone's telling their story and it's authentic and it's inspiring and it's relatable. People will just tune in. They might not have anything like directly in common with that person, but they just feel that sense of like being seen and heard and valued. And but then it's like you'll see where someone's just trying to sell what they currently have to offer, or just having that moment to be able to showcase their services, and discerning that that for me has been an ongoing challenge. Like I've told you before, I feel like I'm in a continuous wave on this journey where I will grow and learn and execute something. And it's kind of like what you said, it's like try something for 3 months and then reevaluate. I do the same thing. And I mean, for the most part, I've met just amazing people, and I love being able to represent the oil field the way I do, because it is underrepresented.
mm-hmm.
And it's I feel like it's getting there in a lot of ways, but it's because of companies like yours and what you're doing, and people that believe in marketing and understand where we are, and really just utilizing technology and learning and trying things and not being afraid to put themselves out there. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can definitely see that, and that goes a long way. And so for me, it's like just being a small part of it, and say like, well, this is what I have to offer, but it's really something valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I start working with a business, it's where are they at. It's like, if nobody knows who they are, I'm like, we need to do a little bit of marketing for a couple of months. Let's get you built up. If you have a website, your email address matches the website, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Things like that,
Make sure it's all correct all the way through the
everything is
pipeline and all the way
correct
through the
and there's
funnel.
no error when you go to the website. And but if they're not there yet, and I'm like, well, this is your thing. This is your investment. I'm going to invest as much as I can, but it's a two-way street, because it's, I may not know how to do their job, but I have been in the oil field, and so I know what their job is like, and
Mm-hmm.
I know what needs to be seen, or at least to a degree, to where it's like we need to make sure that we're, if it's a family-owned company, it's been in the family since 1960. Well, that's where we are. This is great. You guys have withstood the test of time, and you've been able to do this, but there's no pictures online, there's no video,
Right.
there's no proof, there's no feeling there. And so that's been very interesting for me to be able to kind of see like where people are at and what they prioritize. But advocating for marketing and for strategy, I think it's really undervalued in a lot of ways, because even if you didn't do professional marketing, we all have access to social media.
Right.
And so you can take that picture in the field, or a group photo, or appreciation for employee lunch, things like that. But it's more about being consistent and showing up the same way that you show up to work every day. You have to show up representing your company, and whatever is in within your budget, within your desire to be known, and to separate yourself. So one of the things that I offer with what I do is being brand exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it also makes sense, because if I'm saying, well, and I'll say Nimble Crane was one of my longtime clients, and they support me as much as I support them. If I have something, they're going to show up and sit on the front row, and they've done that, and it's so awesome to have that kind of support. But they show up all the time. And I mean, they're always showcasing their field, their workers, what they do, their wrapped cranes. They're always the ones that fly the flag at
Mm.
events. and they're asked to do that, and they're known for that. They did that. That passion, that dedication to the team and their operations and their leadership did that, and that's how they want to show up. Well, I've been representing Nimble Crane for over a year. I'm not going to just suddenly start talking about other crane service
Right,
companies when
right.
I've been so
In
passionate
the same town.
in the same, right there, and so it's like there's also value in being the number one
Hmm.
company, and I really believe in them. And so when I say Nimble Crane is the premier crane service company in the Permian Basin, I mean that.
Hmm.
And so it's really great when you have those kinds of alliances, and that's something that's also been valuable, is that even within my own network, when I'm representing companies, they're all in that network together. And I've seen business relationships develop within that. So networks can be built in a multitude of ways. And the way that you're interacting, it's not just for an outside audience to see what you're doing. It's literally to build your business and to gain new business relationships and new opportunities where you might have otherwise been counted out, not because you're not the best, but because you're not known.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think the to kind of go back to your point about getting out there and all that stuff. I would say the some advice I would have for companies that maybe not they're not ready to hire an agency or do anything like that. Just getting out and taking your cell phone out. Like everyone has a pretty decent camera in their pocket, and getting out, take some photos. That's all you got to do. Take a few photos out on the job site, make sure it's, passes safety and QC and all that,
All
obviously.
that.
So, getting those, and then just try to post once a day on social. Doesn't have to be a bunch. It's probably LinkedIn and Facebook would be a good thing to start. And it does not have to be super polished when it goes on social media. Now, my rule of thumb is if it's on your website, it should be polished. They should
Sure.
be,
Yeah.
high res photos, good video, good copy, fonts, all that kind of stuff, because people are expecting that when they go to a website.
Hmm.
It's your, your home base, and they're like, "Oh man, this is legit." When it comes to social media, a good mixture of that. That's what we do with, Walker and other companies is we do some high res photos, we do high res video, but also it's mixed together with what's called UGC, user generated content, where it looks like it's shot on a cell phone, because that's the authenticity and that's the organic marketing. And that's part of the strategy. Like if you did everything polished, it would just kind of seem a little off. But if it looks like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, our field guys are out, in it, and you can see what it's really like, and then you're posting that stuff, that's a good mixture on that. We actually did that at when I was at Western. I came in, and I come from like a high production value video background. So I came in and I was like, everything has to be super polished, graphics, super slick looking, and views were just not there. And I was like, what is going on? And I talked to this younger kid, and he was like, I was like, dude, what is going on, man? I mean, I'm not seeing anything. Everything looks so much better. Like all this stuff. He's like, dude, if I see a super polished video on social media, I think it's an ad, and I just swipe away. And that was like a huge light bulb, especially at Western. It's like you need to shoot things that aren't super polished and slick and all this kind of stuff in the strategy, because we want it to make it look like the welders are doing it. It's not, oh, you hired this marketing agency and it's
Sure.
like
It's
super slicked out.
staged.
Yeah, yeah. So it's you want to throw that stuff in. Now, probably not everything. Like if you some videos I've seen that looks like they were shot on a potato. So, a flip phone from '06. So there is a bit of a quality issue when I see it, coming out in marketing and everything, but it doesn't have to be crazy polished all the time.
Yeah.
If the strategy calls for it, if you're a, software as a service company or something like that, then yeah, probably needs to be pretty polished all the way through. But if you're in the field, that's kind of like your company, there should be some organic stuff. So like I said, that would be my advice is get your field hands. A couple things that we've done in the past is get, people out in the field. Hey, take some photos on site or take a video, send it back to us. We'll edit it and we'll post it. Because that's the biggest hang up that I've seen is You could take the picture, that's super easy, but getting down, posting on Facebook and everything, make it super easy for your field guys to just take a photo, text it to one person or
Mm-hmm.
put it in Slack or whatever, and then they take that, give a little bit of background. Hey, we're out in Texas doing this, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Then they take it and do it from there,
Yeah.
and that can be kind of part of the strategy to start out. If you're not ready to get something rolling or whatever, that's a good way to kind of dip your toes in.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I completely agree, and that's achievable.
yeah,
That's definitely like that's a good entry point.
yep,
If you're not already doing that, or if you're doing that, just do more of it,
yeah,
and be a little bit more consistent. And because definitely quantity matters, and like you're saying, because you have to, you're kind of in between your audience and the algorithm. It's like, okay,
mm-hmm,
in your mind, you're thinking this is what people would want to see, but you also have to have that content being put out. And so by not posting very often, it's like you're going in against the grain with the algorithm also. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I mean it can be taxing, especially when people are so focused on their operation or just not that interested in marketing. Or it's kind of like a I'll believe it when I see it. It's like
yep,
they need to physically see it,
yep,
like you were saying about Paul
yeah, yeah,
at
yeah,
Walker, about like now not only is he getting to see it, now he's got his ideas.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's so that can definitely be it's a hard thing to explain to people when they can't visualize it because they've never done that with their company.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a little bit about or a little bit of what you offer with Cut Through Media now
Yep,
is for oilfield companies, construction based.
yep, yep. Yeah, I think the thing that sets us apart is you see a lot of agencies and stuff like that do social and they do marketing and everything, but they're probably not willing to go out on site to a drilling rig and get your safe land car, like put boots on and be in kind of a crazy atmosphere and go shoot video and go
Sure.
shoot photos and everything. So that's what I think sets us apart is we are willing to do that because that's the fun stuff. Like you got to do the computer work, you got to do all the back end stuff. It's kind of a beast when it comes to that. But we go out on the site and we shoot real stuff. Your workers will, if we need to drive or whatever, we do that and then we make it look polished and make it look professional. It all depends on there's a reason why we go out and we have a shot list and we have several video ideas that we're looking for before we go out. But that's and then a consistent posting because there's a lot of people, and this used to be me back in the day when I had my other video agency. I'd get a bunch of contractors together and a few in-house people. We put together a plan and a vision for this one video, but we would go in, shoot it, and then we'd hand the video off to the owner and kind of leave it to them to post it and to do certain things with it. And I think in the back of my mind I was like, man, I feel really bad for not having an involvement on that side of things.
Yeah.
So like, you have the vision, the strategy, the execution, and then the final product. Well, if you're not distributing it in a proper way or like to fit the strategy and you're leaving it up to someone else that doesn't really know about marketing, then that's kind of a bad spot to be in. So with this, it's soup to nuts. I mean, we're going through, we're going out and shooting, we have a strategy built, and we're posting it for you, and we're commenting. Like that's another thing with engagement.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole thing, and part of the strategy is not only are you posting, if you want to see traction on it, you have to reply to almost every comment or like or engage, because what that does is if someone leaves a comment, you can comment back, ask them a question to create some engagement back. So then they have to come back to the video. So then the channels see, or TikTok or Facebook sees, oh, this is a valuable piece of content. People are coming back and rewatching it. Let's boost this up a little bit.
Sure.
So yeah, there's that part of it. Also analytic tracking and the strategy and all that, and then kind of bringing it into one cohesive thing where it's, yes, we do need a little attention from the jump, from like the owners and the leadership and everything to really dive into the business and figure out what they do and what their goals are and who they're trying to reach and everything. But it's really a service where we step in. We know this is not, what you guys do. That's what we do. So we're able to come in and just be a kind of a turnkey option. And then kind of the vision for the future is we're working with a local guy that does vehicle wraps and signage and everything, and then embroidery stuff and everything. So that's kind of the vision for the future, is to have it everything all in house, from the digital side to the physical side, where hey, we're doing all your digital stuff, plus we're doing your vehicle wraps, plus we're doing your swag, plus everything. So we're a one-stop shop. You guys are kind of hands off for most of the part. We just need to check in every once in a while. So
Yeah.
that's the vision for the future. We're not there yet, but yeah, that's kind of what we're going for.
That's exciting, and I can see that evolution just continuing over time, how it'll grow, and because you've been able to see what's worked in the past, and
Hmm.
kind of like what people need, and
Hmm.
and not taking on too much too soon,
Yeah.
being able to grow it and maintain, because that quality and consistency and the minutia of the details of commenting, liking,
Yeah.
analytics, all of that, and that's also what's been very important to me, is staying on top of my own schedule, not being afraid to change it, because you do need to change it up, but always being on top of it.
Yep.
And,
Yep. And
and
go ahead.
all I was going to ask is, how do people get in touch with you right now with Cut Through, or is it still through Walker?
Yep, yep. It's either way, but the best way to get a hold of me, my email is just Beau, Beau, at cutthrough, Kuttthru.com. We don't even have our website up yet, so that's just cutthrough.com, and then we'll have socials on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. So yeah, that's the situation.
That's exciting, and I look forward to seeing the continuation of that journey. I appreciate you coming on today and sharing all the wisdom, because I see where I've been on point with a lot of it, but where I can also improve and grow and try new things, and understanding it's just a creative process, and it's always just about showing up.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Great. Well, thanks again, Bo, for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You
It's been
bet.
fun.
And thank you, everyone, for watching Power of the Permian. We'll see you next time.